If you think the only way to get lean is to spend hours and hours slogging away on a treadmill, well, you might be missing the biggest piece of the puzzle. What if I told you the real secret to fat loss has almost nothing to do with burning fat for fuel and everything to do with something you do 20,000 times a day? Breathing. So let's dive into this because it's a real game changer. We're going to be pulling from the incredible work of exercise scientist Dr. Andy Galpin, who basically argues that most of us have endurance and fat loss completely backward. And honestly, once this clicks for you, it's going to change the way you train forever. So here's the plan. We'll start by busting the endurance myth. Then we'll uncover the carbon cycle secret. This one's a biggie. We'll look at the whole fueling versus fat loss debate, talk about the 4 kinds of endurance you need to train, and then we'll put it all together into a simple weekly training plan. All right, first things first, we have to completely redefine what endurance even is. We all think it's just about, lasting for a long time. But the science tells a very different and actually much simpler story. See, we tend to view cardio as this tool we use just for fat loss. But what Dr. Galpin explains is that scientifically, endurance really just boils down to 2 things: how well you manage fatigue and how well you manage fuel. That's it. That is the whole game. It's not about how long you can go, it's about how efficient you are. And this is the key insight right here. Efficiency is everything. The fastest way to get better endurance isn't just grinding out more miles, it's improving your mechanics. And where does that start? You guessed it, with your breath. Better breathing mechanics directly improve how you manage fatigue, and that is the absolute foundation of real endurance. Okay, now for the part that is going to completely flip how you think about fat loss. This is one of the most mind-blowing concepts, but it's just simple physics. Seriously, think about it for a second. When you lose a pound of fat, where does it go? I mean, it's physical matter. It can't just vanish into thin air, right? Well, turns out it kind of does. You breathe it out. That's it. The vast, vast majority of the actual mass, the physical stuff from the fat you lose, leaves your body as carbon dioxide every single time you exhale. So here's how this crazy process works. All the food you eat is made of carbon chains. Step 1, you eat it. Step 2, your metabolism gets to work breaking those carbon bonds to release energy. That leaves a bunch of leftover carbon atoms floating around as waste. Step 3, you breathe in oxygen, which binds to that waste carbon, creating CO2. And then step 4, you just exhale it out. You are literally breathing out the fat that used to be stored on your body. This quote from Dr. Galpin is the perfect way to think about it. We're all obsessed with calories in, calories out. But a more accurate mental model is carbon in, carbon out. To lose body fat, you have 2 options: take in less carbon or get rid of more carbon. And exercise is simply the single best tool we have to crank up the rate at which you exhale carbon. Okay, so this brings us to that button on every treadmill and elliptical at the gym, the so-called fat burning zone. Let's bust this myth once and for all. So let's break this down. It is true that when you're doing low-intensity exercise, like a slow walk, a higher percentage of the fuel you're using comes from fat. But, and this is the big but, when you do high-intensity exercise, like sprints, your total energy output, your total carbon out, goes through the roof. So even if the percentage from fat is lower, the total amount of carbon you're exhaling is just astronomically higher. The goal isn't to burn a high percentage of fat, it's to get rid of the most total carbon. So here is the bottom line, and this is so important. What fuel source you burn during your workout is completely irrelevant for long-term body fat loss. What matters is your total carbon balance over 24 hours. A super hard workout that burns mostly carbs creates a huge energy deficit. Your body then has to fill that hole later by pulling from stored body fat. It all comes down to maximizing your total carbon out over the whole day. So if we're not just training to be in the fat-burning zone, what should we be doing? Well, Dr. Galpin argues that we need to build a truly resilient body by training all the different types of endurance. Yeah, it's not just one thing. Think of it like this. Muscular endurance is what lets you carry all the groceries in one trip. Anaerobic capacity is that 30 to 60-second burst you need to run across the street. Maximum aerobic capacity is your ability to hustle up a few flights of stairs and not feel like you're going to die. And long-duration endurance, well, that's for your classic weekend hike. A truly complete fitness plan trains all of these different gears. Okay, that's the theory. So how do we actually train all these different systems? Let's get practical and look at some simple, science-backed ways to do this. Believe it or not, you can make real, meaningful fitness gains in just 20 seconds. There's fascinating research on what they call exercise snacks. A few all-out 20-second sprints on a bike or up some stairs, spread throughout your day, can significantly boost your aerobic fitness. It's just a powerful reminder that intensity can be just as potent as duration. So, what does a balanced week look like? Well, it might include a couple of high-intensity interval sessions. Think 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, to build that anaerobic gear. Then, maybe one max-aerobic session, where you go all out for somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes. And you'd round it out with one longer steady-state session, maybe 30 to 60 minutes, to build that base. This kind of structure makes sure you're hitting all your body's different engines. And this quote just captures the whole philosophy perfectly. Most of us pick a side, right? We're either the person who only does long, slow jogs, or we're the person who only does high-intensity stuff. But Dr. Galpin's point is that there's unique magic happening at both ends of the spectrum. To be truly fit, you need to train the full range. All right, let's bring this all home. Time to recap what we've learned about building a bigger, better engine. If you remember just 3 things, make it these. Number 1, endurance isn't about time, it's about fatigue management. Get more efficient. Number 2, fat loss isn't about a zone, it's about carbon balance. Breathe more out than you take in. And number 3, a great training plan isn't one-dimensional. It trains all your gears, from short sprints to long, steady efforts. And that really leaves us with one final question to ask yourself. When you look at your own workouts, are you training with a purpose to get better at managing fatigue and becoming more efficient? Or are you just burning time? Answering that honestly could change everything.